In the heart of New York, an Ivy League giant stands shaken. A $200 million penalty, frozen research grants, and the threat of losing it all. This isn't just about Columbia University, it's a warning shot to every elite campus in America. As the Trump administration redraws the lines of power in academia, this is VERTEX. And one question echoes louder than ever. What price must a university pay to survive? Columbia University will pay over $200 million to the US government under a settlement agreement brokered with the Trump administration, bringing to an end a high-stakes federal investigation that had threatened to cut the institution off from critical research funding. The deal, announced on July 23rd, is the most significant development to date in the escalating standoff between elite universities and President Donald Trump, who has aggressively targeted higher education institutions over their handling of pro-Palestinian protests and accusations of antisemitism. The agreement comes with stringent conditions. In addition to the $200 million in penalties, the university must also adhere to a raft of new federal mandates, many of which reshape long-standing university policies around academic governance, diversity, and protest.
Under today's agreement, a vast majority of the federal grants which were terminated or paused in March 2025 will be reinstated, and Columbia's access to billions of dollars in current and future grants will be restored.
In a separate agreement, Columbia will also pay $21 million to settle investigations by the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission into alleged employment discrimination against Jewish staff members following the October 2023 Hamas attacks. President Trump welcomed the outcome in a social media post, describing the agreement as a model for other institutions.
I am pleased to announce that the Trump administration has reached a historic agreement with Columbia University. Columbia has agreed to pay a penalty of $200 million to the United States government for violating federal law, in addition to over $20 million to their Jewish employees who were unlawfully targeted and harassed.
In March, facing mounting political pressure and a sudden $400 million freeze in research grants, Columbia began quietly negotiating with federal agencies. The school eventually agreed to sweeping changes, including heightened oversight of Middle Eastern studies programs, a controversial new definition of antisemitism that equates opposition to Zionism with anti-Semitic speech, and disciplinary measures targeting campus protesters. Education Secretary Linda McMahon outlined the administration's expectations in stark terms. Columbia, she said, would be required to discipline students for disruptive protests, restructure its faculty senate, and bring ideological diversity to its Middle Eastern curricula. The university also committed to eliminating race preferences in hiring and admissions, dismantling diversity, equity, and inclusion (DEI) programs, and complying fully with the Supreme Court's decision ending affirmative action.
This is a seismic shift in our nation's fight to hold institutions that accept American taxpayer dollars accountable for anti-Semitic discrimination and harassment. It's a roadmap for elite universities that wish to regain the confidence of the American public. Columbia's reforms are a roadmap for elite universities that wish to regain the confidence of the American public by renewing their commitment to truth-seeking, merit, and civil debate.
Critics, however, were quick to voice alarm. The pro-Palestinian student group Columbia University Apartheid Divest lambasted the settlement as a bribe.
Columbia just bribed the Trump admin with $200 million and disciplined nearly 80 students to keep trustees like Ja Johnson, the Lockheed Martin prince, and Claire Shipman, the AIPAC shill, rich with blood money. Imagine selling your students out just so you can pay Trump $221 million and keep funding genocide.
Columbia's leadership has insisted that the agreement preserves its academic independence. A clause in the deal asserts that,
importantly, the agreement preserves Columbia's autonomy and authority over faculty hiring, admissions, and academic decision-making.
Still, many academics worry the precedent may weaken institutional autonomy nationwide. The deal with Columbia is being closely watched across the higher education sector, where other institutions, including Harvard, face similar pressure. In June, the administration had gone as far as to threaten Columbia's accreditation, warning that its policies violated civil rights laws. A source familiar with the negotiations told CNN the administration was more amenable to Columbia's terms, owing to the university's less confrontational approach compared to its Ivy League peers. Financial pressures played a decisive role. In a message to the Columbia community, University President Claire Shipman outlined the stakes.
We have seen not only $400 million in federal grants frozen, but also the majority of our $1.3 billion a year in federal funding placed on hold. The prospect of that continuing indefinitely, along with the potential loss of top scientists, would jeopardize our status as a world-leading research institution.
The impact on research has already been significant. A government-approved monitor, former prosecutor Bart M. Schwartz, will oversee the university's compliance with the agreement over its 3-year term. He will report to Columbia's president and issue biannual reports. A whistleblower hotline will also be established for members of the campus community to report breaches. Under the terms of the agreement, Columbia also pledged to enforce bans on masked protests inside campus buildings, require protesters to show ID when asked, appoint a liaison for Jewish student issues, report suspended, expelled, or arrested international students to federal authorities, reduce financial reliance on international student tuition, provide single-sex housing and facilities for women in line with Title IX. Despite the controversies, Columbia Hillel welcomed the agreement. Brian Cohen, executive director of Columbia, Barnard Hillel, said,
"This announcement is an important recognition of what Jewish students and their families have expressed with increasing urgency. Anti-Semitism at Columbia is real, and it has had a tangible impact."
As the dust settles, one thing is clear: the Columbia deal could reshape the future of American higher education. Whether seen as accountability or capitulation, the agreement marks a turning point in the contentious intersection of politics, protest, and academia.